Hello, everyone. After discussing the Stellar Network, we will now move on to discuss stellar assets. A stellar asset can be anything that represents a good, value, or service. Assets, known as tokens, are not created equal. Each asset or token can represent a specific good, service, or any other value. Stellar assets can represent nearly infinite categories and specific values. A good example of stellar assets would be your PayPal balance. When you send money to PayPal from your bank account, you are in fact trading your USD fiat currency for PayPal's token, which is an unnamed token, as both you and PayPal pretend that the PayPal token is actually USD. PayPal promises to honor your tokens with a USD cash payout to the payee of your choice. With this in mind, we can see the similarity between stellar assets and modern online banking, except that your stellar assets are not regulated or controlled by any agency, such as PayPal, other than yourself. Lumen is the native currency of the network. Stellar has the ability to trade any kind of assets, US dollars, Bitcoin, etc. We know that stellar assets are tokens. Here, you also need to remember that just like real money, where you need to trust the person giving you the money, you need to trust the issuer of a stellar asset before you trade for it. For example, let's say that you went out with your friend who gave you one token for a free beer. But this friend is untrustworthy. Therefore, it means the token came from an unverified account. It might happen that the next time you go out with the same friend and you ask him to pay for your beer, he might just refuse to do it. Now let's say in another situation, another one of your friends who is well known to be an honest person, which means a verified issuing account, and always honors his word and promises, gives you the same token. It will now be worth something. This is why on the Stellar Network you must first trust, which is also known as establishing a trust line with the issuer of each asset you wish to purchase. To trust an issuing account, you create a trust line. Trust lines are entries that persist in the Stellar Ledger. They track the limit for which your account trusts the issuing account and the amount of credit from the issuing account that your account currently holds. Trust lines have a limit and a balance. Initially, when you set a trust line, it has a balance of 0. The limit represents how much you trust the issuer of the assets. The balance represents how much of the asset you actually have. The balance can never be more than the limit. Lumens, XLM, are the only stellar asset that are automatically trusted, do not require trust lines, and do not have trust limits. Every asset type has two properties. First is asset code, which is a short identifier of 1 to 12 numbers or letters. You can say that it is a symbol of asset like USD for US dollar, BTC for Bitcoin, etc. Second is asset issuer, which is the ID of the account which issued the assets. Any and all accounts on the Stellar Network can issue assets. Accounts that issue assets are called anchors. Private individuals as well as organizations and businesses can issue assets and act as anchors. Each anchor has an issuing account from which it issues the assets. A stellar anchor is a trusted entity on the Stellar Network that is permitted to hold users' deposits and issue credit for those deposits. Anchors act as a bridge between established currencies and the Stellar Network by issuing credit to represent existing currencies. Users can then use this credit to initiate transactions. One key function of an anchor is to issue assets. Assets such as Bitcoin, USD, and ICO tokens can all be exchanged if sufficient credit has been issued by the anchor. Users do not trade actual physical assets, but instead assets that have been credited to their account. For example, when trading USD on the Stellar Network, it is not actual USD being traded, but USD that has been credited by an anchor. To conclude, stellar anchors are integral to the Stellar Network and facilitate for the issuance of new assets. On the Stellar Network, anyone can create custom assets. In order to distribute a custom asset or token on the Stellar Network, 3 unique accounts will be used. First is the source account. The source account is the account of the entity looking to create a new token. Second is the issuing account. The issuing account is created by the source account as a mechanism to create new tokens. The third account is the distribution account. The goal of distribution account is to act as the mechanism for distributing tokens to the public. So you need these 3 accounts to create custom assets on the Stellar. So this was all about the stellar assets. Our next session will cover the Stellar Consensus Protocol. Thank you.